Hey guys, Gabe Suarez here from Suarez Tactics. Yeah, we got a nice monsoon coming in here. I was going to film this outside, but I think I'll go back into the training room. It's great living up here. Anyway, so let me set this down and I'll get this going. There we go. Okay, so one of our guys on Patreon requested this, and so we're going to go ahead and make this this video clip. Again, support us on Patreon, guys. It's a crazy economy. The communists would rather we all disappear and go on welfare, go live in a cave or something. So the best way of you telling them to fuck off and kiss your ass is to support groups like us on our Patreon page. Can't do it on YouTube. Can't do it on any of these other places because that's all been demonetized. So patreon.com/Suarez Tactics. Okay. So his question was, tell me about the old Stakeout shotguns that we used to make at Suarez International. Obviously, Suarez Tactics isn't doing this, but these are still very viable weapons. Now, when Remington closed their doors, they kind of shut production down on the TAC 14s. All right, which I think was one of the best products that they ever made. Now, people will ask, well, what about the Mossberg Shockwave? Okay, now look, again, my opinion, but that's what you're watching this for. The Mossberg is nowhere near as a refined package as the TAC 14 was. You can take a TAC 14, and let me preface by saying this. Other than a custom 1911, there is no factory weapon that comes out of the box that's going to be ready to go, that's going to be the best it can be. They all need to be optimized. Some are more easily optimized than others. It's very, very difficult to optimize a Mossberg 500, i.e. a Mossberg Shockwave. There's really not a lot you can do to them. They are lower in cost. They're very, very rough. Will they work every time? Absolutely. So will everything that you can buy today. But if you want better than acceptable, you want the best, you want something that you can take to a gunsmith or a custom shop and they could fine tune it, they could blueprint it, they could make it just super, super slick and bitchin'. It's probably going to be some form of a Remington rather than a Mossberg. Sorry guys, that's just my opinion based on life experience and running both weapons, seeing them in class over and over. It is what it is. Okay. All right. So the TAC 14. Now we actually started making these before Remington came out with the TAC 14 because we saw what Mossberg had done with the Shockwave, and we thought, you know what, the loophole. You could take a pistol grip Remington 870, 18-inch. That was considered an other, and we slapped one of these, what they call them, bird head grips or whatever, they were made by Shockwave, the company, and lopped the barrel down to 14 inches, and you know what? You had a very, very solid, viable weapon, something analogous to the old witness protection shotguns. Okay, now, what did we do to these? Okay, first I'm going to unload this so that I can wave it around the camera and, run the action and everything else. This is, by the way, how you unload an 870, not by racking the action over and over and over. Okay, you should be able to do that with any modern quality shotgun. Okay, so we check and everything else. All right, now what we did with this, let me step back a little bit so you can see the whole picture. This is a first generation one. This is actually an amphibian version that we designed for a couple of our friends that frequent areas where there's a lot of bears and stuff like that, and so they wanted something that was very, very much waterproof and everything else. So this whole thing is NP3'd, but this is in essence a Stakeout shotgun. The only difference is the finish and the markings on the receiver. Okay, so what we would do from the beginning, okay, is we would add a +1 magazine extension. Why not? The barrel has to be this long, so you may as well have a one-shot extension. So this gave us 5 in the tube, 1 in the chamber, which is more than enough. All right, I was in a lot of fights where I used shotguns. Most rounds that I use was maybe 4 at the most. Okay, so if you have something to hold 6 shots, it's more than enough. Okay, You know, the guys that want to add drum magazines and stuff like that, you know what, you're missing the point, guys. Okay, I like having a sling on this, and because this sometimes rides in my vehicle, sometimes it's in different places, I like having some extra ammo on here. I don't carry the ammo on my person because places that I may go into, you know, it just doesn't fit the role that I'm playing that day. But I like having this just on the sling. If I have to deploy this, I can take this off and put it on my belt if necessary. Okay. Don't remember where I got this. I will put an announcement on the Patreon page. But anyway, so what we used to do is we would take this, we would add an enlarged safety. There's a lot of them, a lot of folks that are making these now. We used to make these ourselves. We added texture to both the forend and the Shockwave grip. This is the old school Marine Tex, if you can kind of see the close-up there, okay? Kind of primitive compared to the stippling that's being done today, but again, this was the first model, and so, you know, I kept it for, you know, historical purposes, nostalgic reasons, if nothing else. We always ported the barrel. I think that's important because these do tend to jump around a lot in your hands, and you know, that does help considerably. Now, the NP3, it makes this you can't even express in words how smooth this feels. Okay, so the NP3 really is an important aspect of this. Now, even more important aspect. Okay, now I'm going to show you. You see these sights that I've got on here? Okay, these are Remington. They're rifle sights for shotguns. Okay. All right, I don't have any choking or anything like that here. I've left that alone because I don't want a tight pattern. I want a uniform pattern. That is a product of your ammunition choices. But these sights are important. I think much more important than even an optic on here, because they help you get the weapon aligned on target. Okay, you're not going to zero a charge of buckshot that spreads about the distance of your hands, but what it will do is these sights help you get the weapon aligned on the target spot that you want to hit. You want to hit a guy in the face, you know that your spread is going to be about 10 inches. This allows you to center that 10-inch pattern on the intended target, so this is important. Without these, we found that the TAC-14s and the Shockwaves as well, they would tend to shoot very high because as you bring the weapon up, there's a tendency to hold it like this. Okay, so you're actually launching that round up above. When you have the rear sight in place here, what you get is you have that developed skill set of aligning those sights, and so automatically this rear end of the weapon tends to come up because your eye is looking for that notch. Okay. Anyway, we ran a bunch of these in class. We had guys running these against full-size shotguns of any type, and you know, this is not a replacement for the full-length stocked shotgun or SBS or however you want to address it, but at close ranges, inside of 10 yards, they kept up very well with everything, provided that the user was skilled in its operation. Now, this is not for the frail or the slightly physique people. This is the battle axe of the modern battlefield, and you have to have the physical characteristics. In other words, upper body strength to be able to express this in its proper use. And again, you know, when we run our shotgun classes, these are welcome, where in a lot of other schools, they tend to sneer at these and so on. If you got one of these, I don't know, we'll call them PGOs, pistol grip only shotguns, call them TAC-14s, call them, you know, you want to be politically incorrect, just call it a sawed-off shotgun. I really don't care. Call it a witness protection shotgun, whatever it is. I used one pretty much exactly like this, except for the finish and the sights, back when I was in the gang unit. And, you know, it worked really, really well. So anyway, this is it. The Stakeout, in this case in the amphibian format. The reasoning, how we put this together and why, and everything else. If you have any more questions on these, you know, let me know on Patreon. I know that we're going to be working on our virtual training classes shortly. They're going to be up on the website. And one of the things that I'm planning on doing is a virtual training class on how to run pistol grip only shotguns like this. So anyway, that's it. Again, these are crazy times. The forces of evil are working hard to suppress our entire culture. Especially industries like ours. We certainly appreciate your support on Patreon. If you haven't had a look, please take a look. Membership starts at $5. $5 a month. That's $60 a year. You spend more on that drinking, gas station coffee. So go ahead, join, support us. We'll try and put up content as often as possible. Any questions that you have on things that you want addressed and so on, we're doing our best to reply to all of that. So anyway, that's it. I got to get to my workout before the storm gets too crazy. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Talk later.